welcome back. We were talking about maturity, and I came across the quote: maturity is not when we start speaking big things. It's when we start understanding small things. Maturity is not when we start speaking big things. It's when we start understanding small things. I don't know who it's for. I don't know what it's for, but I came across that, and that is what stood out to me. So those that have listened to me here on the radio, those that have caught my podcast, you have heard me talk about the mask. And when you aren't mature, you keep the mask on. And in that immaturity, you do something called the what? That's right, blame game. As to why people don't see you. Remember the title? Do you see me? And when you're immature and you refuse to see things, you refuse to understand the small things, you blame people. You have a very tough time when a situation presents itself determining whether you're going to fight or flight. Now, for those that have listened and you've really paid attention, I've just talked about 3 shows that I've done. We have, in that tough time, when we are presented with situations that make us feel uncomfortable, remember I said we have the opportunity to decide how we are going to respond to a situation when the situation arises. I was just talking about, how anger used to take me over. Now, listen to me, because those that know me know that, no, I still get mad. And I can really I could be on one when I'm to that point. But as I've gotten older, as I've grown, as I've matured, I understand that my anger today it will have consequences down the line, whether that be consequences in my marriage, whether that be consequences at work, whether that be consequences as a parent, whether that be consequences in any role or anything that I may have my hands to. Understanding that now puts me in a place where I really do. I try to actively make conscious decisions so we don't run into that problem. Coming to the realization that we all should mature in, all the areas of our lives. And nothing that I've talked about is anything that I've just made off the top of my head. I've done some research. I try to bring you as, facts. I try to make it relevant to what a personal story that story may not be yours, but I believe that I'm not the only person that goes through these things. So you may have walked into a room and felt or asked the questions, do you see me? And there's so much more to the do you see me? Because when you get to that point, you still got to break it down. Why do you want to be seen? What is it that you want them to see you? What is it that you want them to see of you? And the outward appearance, it's just the outward appearance. It takes a special individual to want to get to find out what is on the inside of you. Um, and for those that have listened to the show, you know that I like to give, practical tips, things that can help you down the line, whether you listen to this today or whether you listen to this tomorrow. I tell you, get your pen, get your paper, and let's write. So you can mature in several areas of your life: emotionally, spiritually, financially, and that just depends. It depends on who you are, and how serious that you want to take those areas. But we should mature emotionally. We should mature spiritually. We should mature financially. We should mature in our relationships. But to what degree? That's up to you. So today I'm going to give you some maturity tips. We all know it's not the tips, but it's what you do with the tips that matter. So whether it's me, whether it's any other speaker, teacher, preacher, they can give you something, but if you don't put application to it, it's just lip service. Just I'll leave that there. So I Googled maturity, and I was wowed by the response. But the first thing that came up was the maturity of stocks, the financial part. That's not what I'm talking about. What I want to talk about, and I think you can apply them in every area, of your life. But I want to talk about ways to become more mature and responsible. So you don't have, or if you're having, or you don't wonder, do they see me? Because you are working on being the more mature you. So first, to be more mature and responsible, you have to set goals. And for anybody that has had listened to any personal development of any sort, they tell you you have to set a goal. If you don't know where you're going, if you don't know what you're aiming for, how you plan to get there? It's just that simple. When you're going on vacation or you're going on a road trip and you've never been there before, what do you do? Back in the day, my friend and I, we used to get the atlas. She had this atlas, and wherever we were going, it was there. Now we Google it. You Google Maps it, or you Google you whichever tool you use. You put in a starting point. It even calculates that for you, and you put in where you're going, and you set a goal on how to get there. So the second one is you practice self-control. Learning how to control your actions and your emotions is a sign of maturity. If you are still here from when I talked about my situation, I'm telling you, you have to practice self-control. When you can practice self-control, those that know you, those that are around, those that see growth, they'll be able to tell you that you've matured in this area. The next one is you have to stay persistent. Maturity is a marathon, not a sprint. Maturity is a marathon, not a sprint. To become mature and responsible, it takes commitment and persistence. So for those that know I like to run, and I've run a couple of more than a couple. I've run some half marathons, and in the process of each race, not the ones lately, but when I first started, it was you set a goal, which was the time. And, you had to practice self-control. Because I had to realize I had to control my breathing. I had to control my emotions in the moment, in the training process. There was just so many things that went along, but I had to stay persistent. And I had to realize I wasn't running a marathon, but that half marathon was good enough for me. And I wasn't going to sprint the whole thing. I wasn't going to sprint 13.1 miles. Nope, wasn't going to happen. But I had to remember I had to be responsible to train, had to be committed to the training process, and I had to be persistent. I couldn't start today, stop, and then run and expect to still achieve the goal. Wasn't going to happen. Not with me. Maybe somebody else, but not me. I had to, the next one is you have to respect others' opinions. People have different views on different topics. People see things differently people are going to see things differently than you do. And that's okay. People are going to see things different than you do, and that's okay. People are going to see things different than you, and that's okay. Why? Because as you mature, you respect others' opinions. The next thing is you have to build self-confidence. It takes a strong sense of self-confidence to manage all of the moving parts to a successful life. Now, let me go ahead and pause right here and put a pin in it, whatever. A successful life means something different than everybody. And if you heard me last week, I talked about people get stuck in the comparison phase of their life when they're trying to achieve success, because we are comparing our success, we are comparing ourselves, our journey, to a celebrity or somebody that we've seen on social media or somebody that we know. But what we don't understand is in that process, they've had to have self-control to manage all the different parts to get them to where they are. I don't know how else to say it. Stop comparing yourself to whomever. Your journey is your journey, and you will appreciate your journey when you realize you're building self-confidence. Next one is take ownership. Instead of taking responsibility, many people look for other places to lay blame for their circumstances. Remember I talked about the blame game? I just didn't just make that up. When something goes wrong and you're not confident, you blame it on somebody else. Why? Why do you blame on somebody else? Because you don't want to take ownership. A lot of times taking ownership means that you have to admit that you did something wrong. A lot of times taking ownership means that you have to correct some things about yourself that you know you don't like, you know that they need to fix, but nobody's willing to tell you because they want to coddle you or they don't want to hurt your feelings. No, hurt my feelings. Because if you come to me and tell me I have a problem and you hurt my feelings, there's a couple things that happen. I realize that you care and that you see me better than I see myself in that moment. Take ownership. Remember I talked about God gave us two of these. He didn't give us one ear. He didn't give us a half an ear. He gave us 2 ears. He gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. And he gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth so we could listen more. Most people tend to treat conversation like a competitive sport. Oh, you want me to tell you what that means? Who can say the most stuff? Who can say the biggest words? Who can sound the most educated? Listen, one of the biggest things that I've had to come to grips with is that I'm not supposed to be the smartest person in the room. And if I am the smartest person in the room, I probably need to get out because it means I'm not growing. And this is just Oliver talking. But when I realize that I'm in this room, when I'm in these rooms with the people that have what it is that I'm looking to obtain, I don't need to say anything. I need to listen. I need to do a whole lot of it. I need to listen to what it is that they're saying. Because hopefully I've vetted them and their process and what it is that they have. And it's not a sham. It's not a fluke. It didn't happen overnight, but they've put in the work to get to where they are. And I can listen to what it is that they have to offer, or what it is that they're saying about their journey that possibly may help me get to where it is that I want to be. And in order to do that, I have to listen more. But this approach it's opposite. If I don't listen more, it means I'm doing more talking. And if I'm doing more talking, I'm probably not talking about the things that I need to do. I'm probably missing something that was being said. And when you miss it, you miss it. Point blank, plain and simple. The next couple, avoid negativity. Negativity creates a range of emotions that they're not going to help you grow. Not this way. Not grow like you a tree. You a seed, and then you grow up, and you're trying to blossom. It's not. Negativity begets negativity. Avoid it. It creates a range of emotions that it's not going to help you grow. It's going to feed that negative spirit that you have. It's going to wind up tearing you down. And you're going to wind up being around other negative people that aren't going to help you achieve what it is that you say you want to achieve. Now, if you have negative talk and your group is negative and you say one thing and you believe something else, this one's not for you. I hope I don't lose you as a listener or a viewer, but your circle needs to be doing something. You need to be able to have a circle that y'all are all aspiring to be better than you a better tomorrow than you are right now. It may take it may take a while to find that circle. I'm realizing finding that circle doesn't happen overnight. But if you remember what I said, maturity is a marathon, not a sprint. You've heard me say it before, and I'll say it again, and I'll probably say it again at some point in time, but you got to make sacrifices. You have to make sacrifices. To be more mature and responsible, you have to make sacrifices. A sign of maturity is being responsible enough to make sacrifices for the good of others, or for the future without resentment. So you want to know what? You want me to break that down for you? You want something different? You want more? You have to make sacrifice to help people. Now, every circle that I've been in, for those that, whether it has been in network marketing, whether it has been in marketing, advertising, even the human service field, child welfare, you have to make sacrifices for others. I'll stay with the child welfare field. That's not a field you just go in because you want to make a whole lot of money. And if you thought that, you sadly mistaken. You are sadly mistaken, my friend. You go into that field because you are making a sacrifice for the good of others. You are there to help somebody else who is less fortunate, going through a tough situation in the moment. And you can't resent the fact that you made the sacrifices that you made. because you went into it with the right mindset. You went into it with the right motives. Stop doing stuff and making sacrifices and then throwing it in people's face. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that around them. Well, correction. You shouldn't. That won't be around me. If that means I gotta be by myself, then I'll be by myself. You did it because it was out of the goodness of your heart. You ain't do it because you was trying to post it for a photo op, or you wanted somebody to give you a pat on the back, or you were the, ooh, great job, that a boy. Not in that. When it's something that you are willing to do because you are helping another person, that, my friend, that is what you do that's going to make you mature and responsible. And I kind of touched on it in the make sacrifices, but this one, give back. Giving back is the ultimate sign of maturity. When you can give back just because, it shows you've come a long way. You stop playing the blame game. You stop blaming other people. You stopped in your fight or flight moment. You stop flying away from it. You stop going to bed angry. You've realized that your thought processes are no longer that of a child. You're able to give back. And giving back, it takes a sense of maturity. When you give back your time, your knowledge, or the efforts to other people, it shows that you reached a place where you can afford to shift your focus from you to others. How many times have you seen people give back and you've ever wondered, well, I've seen people give back and I've wondered, what they doing that for? Like, is it a genuine, like, I understand where you've been. Like, I've been in the trenches, I've been in the projects, I've been without food, I've been homeless. Or is it I'm doing this because I'm looking for something in return? They're not the same. They're not the same. You don't give back the same way. When you're genuine about it, when it's really something that you're passionate about, you roll up your sleeves and get dirty just like everybody else. You don't see yourself up here and they're down here. You understand that they've had a journey. They may have had a bad moment, a bad fall, about something. But you understand that they just made a different, their decision-making process was different than yours. And a lot of people say with the majority of the population that's not in that 1%, we're one paycheck away from being on the other side of broke. I've seen a lot of memes lately. Gas prices are horrendous, outrageous. In California, I just read today that there's some place on the border of Nevada where gas is like $7 a gallon. And how many of you know? I don't say it from a place because I'm not rich, but you still got to go to work. You still got to go food shopping. Still got to go around. You still got to get around. You may not like it. You may curtail how you do it, how often you're out. You may calculate the direction that you go. But when you give back, God makes a way. I hope you understand that maturity takes time. But you have to give the effort. When you give effort, change can happen. Remember I told you what my daughter said. Change doesn't happen without thought and action. Thanks for tuning in. We've come to that point of the show where I leave you with this. Deal with your daddy issues today. Otherwise, they will deal with you tomorrow. Talk soon. Peace.